August 15, 1977. Big Ear Radio Observatory, Ohio State University. Astronomer Jerry Amon is analyzing routine printouts of radio data. Static, silence, noise, nothing unusual. Until something catches his eye. A sequence of numbers and letters so intense, so precise, so unlikely, that he grabs a red pen, circles it, and writes one word beside it. Wow. What he discovered that night became the most important, most debated, and most mysterious radio signal ever recorded from space. This is Case 014, the wow signal. A signal that appeared once, lasted 72 seconds, never repeated, never explained. But before we dive into what the wow signal was, we need to understand why it still haunts scientists nearly 50 years later. The 1970s were a golden age for astronomy. New telescopes, new computers, and new scientific optimism. The SETI project, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, was still in its infancy. But the idea was simple. If an intelligent civilization wants to be found, the easiest way is through radio waves. Not random noise, but a narrow-band, focused, intentional signal. A cosmic phone call. The Big Ear telescope was designed to listen for exactly that type of signal. Most nights produced nothing but randomness, but August 15th was different. Late at night, Big Ear detected a signal. Not noise, not interference, not something drifting randomly across space. A single, powerful burst of radio energy at 1420 megahertz. Why is that significant? Because 1420 megahertz is the natural emission frequency of hydrogen, the most common element in the universe. A frequency so important that SETI scientists call it the hydrogen line, the watering hole of the cosmos. If an alien civilization wanted to broadcast a signal across the galaxy, this is the frequency they would likely use. And that's exactly where the wow signal appeared. For 72 seconds, the signal grew stronger and stronger, peaked, then faded away, perfectly matching the sky rotation of Earth, perfectly matching how a distant fixed source would behave. This wasn't random. This was deliberate. Or at least it looked deliberate. The printout shows a sequence, 6EQJ5. It looks meaningless, but each character indicates intensity, and U represents a signal 30 times stronger than background noise. In radio astronomy, that's enormous. It's like hearing a single whisper in a stadium from across the universe. The shape of the signal is even more important. It rises exactly as Earth's rotation brings the telescope into alignment, peaks at the center of the detection window, falls as the rotation pulls away. This wasn't random. This was deliberate. Or at least it looked deliberate. The printout shows a sequence, 6EQJ5. It looks meaningless, but each character indicates intensity, and U represents a signal 30 times stronger than background noise. In radio astronomy, that's enormous. It's like hearing a single whisper in a stadium from across the universe. The shape of the signal is even more important. It rises exactly as Earth's rotation brings the telescope into alignment, peaks at the center of the detection window, falls as the rotation pulls away. This wasn't random. This was deliberate. The signal came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, near a group of stars called Chi Sagittarii. The exact source is still debated because Big Ear had two listening beams and the signal only hit one of them. But the region is interesting. It's near the center of the Milky Way. It contains dense star clusters. It contains older, stable stars, ideal for potential life. And it contains the highest concentration of hydrogen gas in our galaxy. Was it a coincidence? Maybe, but scientists doubt it. Immediately after the discovery, astronomers tried to detect it again. For weeks, then months, then decades, they pointed telescopes at the same coordinates. Nothing. No signal. No repetition. No hint of what caused it. The wow signal appeared once and vanished. This is what makes it so frightening, or exciting, depending on how you look at it. For almost 50 years, scientists and skeptics have argued. Here are the main theories, starting with the ordinary and moving toward the extraordinary. This is the simplest explanation. But there's a problem. Big Ear had no known malfunction that night, and the signal followed the exact shape a real signal should. Experts consider this the least likely explanation. Could it have been a military transmission? A satellite reflection? A plane? A ground-based signal bouncing off space junk? Probably not. The frequency, 1420 MHz, is illegal to use on Earth, protected by international law. No satellites transmit on that frequency. Also, no Earth-made signal would drift in intensity exactly like a fixed astronomical source. The shape kills this theory. In 2017, an astronomer named Antonio Paris suggested the signal came from a hydrogen cloud around two comets. Scientists tested the idea. It didn't hold up. The comets weren't in the right location, and their hydrogen emissions were far too weak. The theory was dismissed. Maybe the signal came from a neutron star, a pulsar, a quasar, or a hydrogen cloud. But all known natural sources produce broadband noise, not a razor-thin, focused frequency like 1420 MHz. Nature doesn't do that. Civilizations might. Now we reach the theory that made the wow signal famous. A deliberate broadcast. Why? Because the signal had every characteristic SETI scientists predicted. Narrowband, intense, precisely tuned, located near the hydrogen line, correct drift pattern, no terrestrial explanation, no natural explanation, exactly 72 seconds long, never repeated. If you wrote a checklist for an extraterrestrial transmission, the wow signal ticks every box. But there's a problem. Why only once? Possibilities. The civilization broadcasts intermittently. The beam was narrow, like a laser, and Earth passed through it only briefly. Their technology failed afterward. They went extinct. Or they simply weren't trying to communicate again. This is the mystery. In 2022, new analyses using AI tools showed the wow signal is statistically inconsistent with any known natural source. In fact, if you compare millions of cosmic radio bursts, the wow signal stands alone. Even more surprising, in 2020, a team identified a sun-like star very close to the wow signal's coordinates, one of the best exoplanet candidates for intelligent life. It's not proof, but it's not nothing. So what was it? A glitch? An echo? A natural oddity? A deliberate broadcast from a distant civilization? The truth is simple. No one knows. And that's the most haunting part. The universe is enormous, 400 billion stars in our galaxy alone. If a civilization wanted to send a beacon that could be heard across thousands of light years, 1420 megahertz would be the perfect place. And that is exactly where the wow signal came from. Because it changed SETI forever. It proved that the universe might be speaking. We are capable of hearing it. A single moment can change scientific history. And so, astronomers keep listening. Every year, new telescopes, more powerful, more sensitive, scan the sky. Every year, we move closer to understanding whether we are alone. One day, the wow signal might finally repeat. One day, we might decode the first message from another world. Or maybe this was the only transmission we'll ever receive. A lonely whisper crossing the void from a civilization that no longer exists. Thanks for joining me for Case 014, the wow signal. A mystery that began with a simple red circle and the word wow, and left the world with a question we still can't answer. Was it a mistake, a coincidence, or the first contact humanity ever received? Let me know your thoughts. Do you think the wow signal was natural or intelligent? And stay tuned for the next episode. The universe is full of mysteries, some louder than others.